All right, welcome to Module 1. In this module, we are getting clear on what is the energetic terrain that we're entering this journey with. So let's get into it, shall we? All my courses, everything always starts with this one principle. Everything is energy. And within that landscape of everything, there is a landscape that is a you. So I took two pictures here. One to really show how interconnected energetically we are with all things, and also one to show how complex and multidimensional we are in ourselves. And so there's this amazing energy soup that we are a part of. So there's a landscape that is you, really like a physical landscape, an emotional landscape, a mental landscape, a spiritual landscape. And if you want to kind of keep yourself busy as you listen to me speak about these things today, I invite you to draw like the outline of a person and just draw in like, what is the physical landscape like for you? Just doodle it. What is your emotional landscape like right now? Your mental landscape, your spiritual, energetic landscape. So that is like the bubble that is you. And that bubble of energy that is you is inserting itself into a relational context. So you have energetic interactions with everybody in your life. Within cultural landscapes, the way it's done within our culture. And in Montreal, in Canada anyway, we have a very interesting cultural landscape where there's a million mini cultures. Each person belongs to their own culture within the bigger culture. Collective landscapes, so historical, astrological, sociopolitical. At the time of that we're doing this right now is we can witness in the States how they're taking down statues of the Confederate thought. And so they're working on removing the symbolicism of government-sanctioned racism. And so that is part of the collective landscape. And we insert ourselves in that. We are interconnected with everything. And so the landscape that is you is both totally just you, kind of separate from everything that is around you, and also completely not separate. And I love this image. She travels between worlds, unlearning thousands of years of conditioning, because it's true. We have these conditionings within us that are cultural, that are historical, that are from our ancestors. And we land here in this life and we get to choose now to make ourselves more free, build our lives on truth, approach things with softness and kindness. And we need to really wake up to the fact that that can be our mission, but we are plugged into so many different things. And so it's really nice to become aware of how connected everything really is, and how our personal freedom is also a collective freedom, and our collective freedom translates to personal freedom also. So the phrase, as within, as without, as above, so below, as the universe, so the soul. This is something, so I know I'm not teaching you anything new here. I just want it to be in the context of your mind so we can start living these realities. This comes from Hermes Trismegistus. There's no way I'm pronouncing that right. I'm doing the English version. And I actually looked up who this person is, and it's interesting that Hermetics took the pursuit of mystical experience into their own hands and developed a way of thinking about the world that helped them communicate with and directly experience what they call a more visionary reality. And I felt that was pretty in line with what we're doing here. So just a perfect example here, how we're Googling that quote, trying to find its origin and seeing, wow, ancient Greeks were already thinking about things we're thinking about now. We're just picking up that strand of energy of wisdom again and relearning to apply it. And it's in almost all spiritual traditions, there's something around this. So we're separate and we're not separate. So everything is interconnected. There's an interaction between your landscape and the world's landscapes, and you do have a sphere of influence and or impact. And this is why this program is really so near and dear to my heart, because at some point I noticed I had done a lot of my personal healing, really the things from my own life. And interestingly, at some point, a lot of the healing sessions I was receiving, there was always a note of, Inga, I don't think this is yours. I think this is collective. And that means it is mine, and it is also not mine. And as people who heal and do our own work and work to create a better world through our being here, this is going to happen. We are the agents through which collective change happens. The healing in us deeply is where we're really changing the energetic landscape of the whole world around us. What I love about the Black Lives Matter movement at this time is we are straight up asked, well, I say we, but white people, including me, are asked to look at the really deep places racism exists within us. And these are unconscious. And this is, in a way, quite a neutral ask. And this is the exact principle on why I'm so on fire to help kind people create bigger impact in the world. Because from that place of kindness and built on truth in alignment with the laws of nature, the laws of goodness, you get to impact the world around you, and you don't even know it. Just somebody at the grocery store you smile to. Your energy contains a message and changes their day and changes their vibration, and that creates another ripple effect, another ripple effect, another ripple effect. And we have the biggest impact where our presence and attention lie. Our presence and attention is like this beautiful energetic nectar that under which whatever we place that attention and presence, whatever we give that to, flourishes. So as within, so without, as without, so within, we saw that. And not only are you impacting the world around you, the world outside you is impacting you enormously also. And that is something that we sometimes overlook when we're doing our healing work. We can get really interested in impacting the world around us a little bit more, but we forget that if we eat sugar all day long, or if we're in really codependent relationships, or our home is complete mess all the time, or our work is super unfulfilling, that re-impacts us, and that will have an effect on the energy we are able to put back into the world. So it's this beautiful cycle, truly. Just gonna check. Cool. Okay, so you are not new to energy work here. So you know that we have this whole energetic structure that is this interface between the separate and the not separate. So this is a chakra system, or meridian system, or energetic bubble around us. And let's see, and within that energetic structure, it can either really flow and be in accordance with love and truth, or it can block and it can get all distorted and based on illusion and separateness. So we have blocks in our different chakras. So in the middle of all of this complexity of separate, not separate, what determines what's in the middle of our lives? What's in the middle of all of this? And knowing that our attention is what makes things flourish, it is your attention that is going to determine what's at the middle of your life. So in a system that works well, your attention has enough space and is able to connect to many things. So one of which, the messages you're receiving from you. Okay, so emotions, they're really messages from you to you. They don't always speak the quote unquote truest truth, but they are really important for you to receive without distortion. And so what that means is that if you feel anger, don't transform it into sadness because anger is not allowed, or vice versa. Really receive the messages from yourself. When your attention is working well, it allows you to do that. Your attention kind of plugs into the inspiration and guidance that life gives you. It is able to identify what really actually matters to you, what is important to you. And the attention nourishes that with the life-giving attention, so it creates these beautiful cycles in your life. It is able to connect to your intuition and the clear next steps to create what you're here to create. It's able to monitor your inner integrity and wholeness. And there's also an observer in you that knows where to place your attention at what time, and that you have a choice over your attention. So when it all works well, you and your attention and all the multidimensionality of you is in the center stage of your life and totally in your power. So in your power, my definition of that is that security and safety and well-being and money and magic all come from you. You are the creator. Okay, so what are you like when you master your attention and everything is in flow? Well, you're plugged into the multidimensional you and the multidimensional beyond. That includes just straight up what's in your face, what's in your life, the people in your life, but also the subtle, invisible, energetic world. So you're center stage in your life, in your power. Now, the qualities of attention, when this works well, the qualities of attention we want to cultivate and that allow the object of your attention to truly flourish are kindness, reverence, and softness. So really giving over your attention to it, seeing deeply. Awareness, clarity, and truth. So seeing it as it is, awareness, clarity with truth. And then not distorting it with judgment or with resistance or illusion. Because our attention can do that. It can pinch off the reality and distort it. And all our chakras are really filters of reality. So any block in a chakra is creating a distortion in the reality in the field. And you're not able to see what truly is. And so you're not able to respond to what truly is. And so you're not able to create with what truly is. So this kindness, reverence, and softness, awareness, clarity, and truth, and without distortion, judgment, illusion, is what we want to cultivate. So in other words, really seeing what is as it is and including all of it. So no denial, no pushing away, just seeing it all and not getting overwhelmed by any of it all, just being in the center of it all. So this is the quality of the observer many of you have been developing. It's very important. It's an inner posture. It's a way of carrying your energy and power into the world. In other words, mindfulness or heartfulness. So when this is really your default kind of attention, kind, truthful attention, you feel in flow, in alignment with life, on purpose, intentional, creative. Like that interface between what is your energy and the world's energy is really flowy and really easy to navigate and really starts really feeling like a creation zone. It is also possible that your attention is not aligned well. So what happens when it is in misalignment? There's really two big possibilities that I want to explore with you, and then we're going to go into your actions. I don't want to make this huge theory this week because I want you to start plopping yourself straight in the middle of your life, because that's where the magic really is. So possibility number one is your attention is like way focused outward, placed on external things, and you are not functioning as the main hub your attention runs through. It's sort of like all external, and so I'll get into what that feels like in a moment. Second, your attention is way preoccupied with yourself, and you're actually cut off from beyond yourself. So it's the opposite. You're not connecting beyond yourself. So the possibility number one, you're completely outward focused. So this feels like you lack connection to yourself. This is what I assume your tendency is more, because this is my quote unquote ideal client. This is the kind of client that I really know how to walk back from that kind of attention back to plugging into themselves and really creating a whole new reality based on that. So there's different reasons you might be really outward focused. One of them is you really believe your source of safety, well-being lies in something external. So remember my definition of power where it's internal? Well, you give your power to outside sources. So that sounds like, well, I can't be happy until my flowers are flourishing. Or I can't relax until my husband is finally, I don't know what you might be waiting on him for, done the taxes. If only I could get this new car, I'll feel happy or content. You know, like we place our external things, we become conditional, truly. And this is a thing we do as humans, okay? So one of the things this week is going to be look at where are you conditional? Because the truth is, it all comes from you and you get to choose and you get to decide. Of course, all the distortions and blocks you have running feed you into the illusion that you are not actually the creator of your life and things are external are really, really important. Another reason you can have your outward attention is because you haven't shown to include yourself in your attention. The models you had growing up either told you straight up, don't think of yourself, always think of others. It's not a bad sentiment. Or always be nice, or always be kind. I agree with these things. However, when we see these done in a way that completely negates the self, how are we supposed to learn? We just don't have models to do it. And another possibility is you just don't believe you're worthy of your own care. So if you even imagine plugging your attention away from outside of yourself and putting it inside of yourself, you're afraid people are going to die. I mean, if you have young children, this might be the exception to the rule. You do have to give them a lot of attention, I suppose. But other than that, like, no, like, you always deserve your own care. But taking your attention away from others and placing it back into yourself is really not actually problematic. Just a belief of worthiness. It's also possible that your attention is entirely over-recruited by the outside world. And this is a lot of us. This is the superwoman syndrome, if we can call it like that. You're just trying to be it all or do it all for everyone. This comes with the belief that if I don't do it, it doesn't get done right. It's one for a lot of us. You don't know how to say no. You don't know what your limits are, so you just take it on, and then there's no more room for you. There's just no space in your life. And you have long to-do lists in your head, especially if they're in your head. Because when they're in your head, your attention is just completely recruited by all the things you have to do. And so there's, again, not a lot of space in your attention because it is a bit of a limited resource for your own needs and your own self. Okay, I'm just trying to figure out, okay, there we go. And then finally, another possibility, and this happens to me like often, is your inside world has so many things to say. There's so many messages. I'm super sensitive and I talk a lot to myself through my emotional system. So if it's been 3-4 days that I ignore that because I'm busy with something else, I'm placing the valuable attention of my love and my attention on something else, it accumulates. And then somehow I get a signal of fear and it gets scary what's inside. It never is. It's actually always quite fine. But then it becomes scarier to put my attention back to myself. So these are possibilities. The end result is really your energy gets cluttered, overwhelmed, distorted, anxious as F. You can close up and tense up in response. Any criticism you receive feels like death because you work so hard, often to please others and to not let them down. And then you do, then because you're running on this illusion that your security and safety and well-being comes from others, they criticize you and like, that's it. You'll never be safe, you'll never be secure, and you'll never be happy. So it feels like you might as well die. This isn't a very intense example, but that is a little bit how it does operate. Let's see. Also, because you are placing your attention outside of yourself so much without taking into account you, resentment builds up. Resentment is really when we place our attention outward. And our self-worth is stored outside of ourselves, as is our energy. Possibility number 2. I'm going less in depth with this one because most people are going to be in the number 1 category, but this still all works for you if you're in the number 2 category. And we do flip back and forth. So this is when we cut off from the beyond. So we can totally re-become the center of the life and attention is solely focused on me, 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 me. And this can happen really because you've burnt out by caring too much or being too vulnerable, and you've concluded somewhere that you can only rely on yourself. And so you shut down. And because it feels too hard to trust life after the wounds it gave you. So you like, let me just play it really small. Let me be a very tiny energy bubble in life and not exchange too much because it hurts too much. And then finally, sometimes we can get into this place where it's easier to fight than to love. Love is vulnerable. Okay. In both cases, you're not operating on the truth. And again, the truth is that you are the source of security, well-being, cash, space, self-care, and magic. And none of this comes from the outside. It really comes from you. That's what I'm trying to hammer into it. And you really lose a lot of softness because you feel you need to protect and you cut off certain aspects of this multidimensional life. So there's a bit of a violence that happens on the inside. And this is what culturally I believe we're really working on is figuring out how to be very inclusive. And that starts with us. So what do we do to get the middle ground of this attention? So there's really 2 freaking things I want you to do this week. 1, you get smack in the middle of your life, okay? No more denying. No more cutting out pieces of your life because you don't want to look at them. And decide to take full responsibility for your life because your impact and your softness, your inclusivity, and your truth come when you are smack in the middle of your life and you take responsibility for your life. Okay? And 2, it's time to open your eyes to all the ways distortion is operating and decide to shift it. Okay? So it's eyes open time. Yeah? Put on some mascara on that third eye. So let me tell you a little bit of a personal story. I'm realizing lately that there's a word that describes my source of unhappiness for the last 15 years, 20 years, 25 years, 25 years. And that word is codependency. And one of the things codependency does is it really places your sense of power on the outside. And on May 5th this year, I've been doing a lot of work around this stuff. May 5th in the middle of the night, I woke up with this extreme decision inside of my body. I was screaming it actually in my head as I woke up. My life starts now. I am responsible for my life, nobody else. I take full responsibility for my life. And it felt like I was reborn that night. And that level of intensity you can hear in my voice is what I invite you into. No more denial, No more closing your eyes. You, and only you, are responsible for the life you live here. So, what I want you to know, and what's really helped me, is this idea that all untruths, distortions, illusion is nothing to be discouraged about, okay? People pleasing, not something to be discouraged about. Because all of that energy is just energy that is trapped in a distortion. And as soon as you see it as a distortion already, and you don't judge it for it, it already starts undistorting. And when it undistorts, you have more energy available for your life. You're feeling tired all the time. Probably your energy is just trapped in a lot of different places. And we're going to untrap it. Very, very simple. Okay? So, I'm ready to get to work. Here's what you're doing. 1, full responsibility. New mindset is, whether I was aware of it or not, I have co-created my life up till this moment, and I cannot wait to co-create it even more consciously. Every piece of mud in my life is my chance to grow a lotus, because it is. That distorted energy becomes free energy. You get to respond to life. You get to create with that energy. That is yours. More free. And my mess is my message. Part of your purpose too. My mess is my message. Okay? There's nothing wrong with you having a mess. I have a mess. And, you know, that mess is something that I am continuously committing to cleaning up for myself. And it helps me guide others to do the same. And not everybody's mess looks like my mess at all. I have a very unique mess, and you have a very unique mess. And my unique mess is the exact mess that is going to create my message, but also my way of delivering that message, my particular examples. So we might have a very similar mess, and we might have a very similar message. And you know what? Your way to move through it is different than mine. And that is part of your purpose. So that is the mindset number 1. Mindset number 2, I'm opening my eye. That which is built on love and truth is the true foundation for my life. I want you to become willing to let everything built on distortion crumble. No more life built on illusion. It crumbled anyway. You know the tarot card, the Tower? That's what happens when things are built on illusion and distortion. The foundation isn't strong and they will crumble. And I want you to become willing to let that crumbling happen. And we are going to be really kind and really discerning to allow certain of those crumblings that need to happen in your life to happen, but not right away, because right now we're just creating the terrain. We're looking, where are the shaky foundations in my life? So that it's not traumatic, okay? So it stays soft. I'm willing to sacrifice my untruths, because the faster you catch them, the less of a castle you build on top of the shaky foundations, and the smoother and stronger your life is on all levels from here on out. This one in particular, like, I pledge allegiance to love, truth. So the idea behind that is that at any moment you have a decision, you have the distortion and the illusion and the stories and the ego telling you a story of what you should do. And then you have your true power and your truth and the love telling you what to do. Shift allegiance. Break up with the bad boyfriend. Get with the good boyfriend. Okay? Because when you do take decisions based on love, this is a huge spiritual concept. We're touching on a lot of the huge spiritual concepts here, tying them together maybe in a new way. Things are on a better foundation. Culturally, again, I'm fond of observing what is happening in cultures, and I've been observing a lot what's happening in our neighbors in the United States. A lot, and they're just the most visible. Okay, it's not just the United States, and I know that. Just their mess is very visible. Everything that was built on cracks, everything that was built on illusion and non-love and non-truth with a crisis like a global pandemic under a president that is whatever we can say he is, all those cracks have become extremely visible. It's in a big tower period. And so now there's a chance to let all of that clear out and build on love, truth again. However, we can just build on love, truth right away. Okay? And then when crisis happens, we keep that foundation and it's strong. Finally, distortion or illusion or judgment doesn't mean anything about me. We all have it. We really do. It just means I have a place in me that softness and truth don't inhabit me yet. And it's a new place you get to inhabit with softness and truth. Beautiful. All right, let's get to your actual homework. So our aim, softly and truly taking center stage in your life by sitting on the throne of your authority. You are the writer of your life. We're writing the stories of our own lives in harmony with all that is and the laws of nature, while encouraging and inspire others to do the same. This week, you're going to be doing what I call an attention audit. Okay? So this is really, where is your attention? Just, you're gonna write it all out. There's a workbook that explains exactly what to do. There's nothing more for me to say. You want to up your mindfulness game. So I know many of you have some kind of a mindfulness or heartfulness practice already. Just approach it with even more of that reverence and willingness to experience the present moment as it is, because it can get stale, that practice. So really refresh it. And then I want you to do a 360-degree life assessment. So this is really, and I guide you through it in the workbook. Look at your life and look at what your life is reflecting back at you. Open your eye. So I've written a ton of themes. Just jot down real quick. This can take as long or as not long as you want. And I wouldn't give you any exercise I don't think is going to directly impact and improve your life. Okay? The terrain, this needs to be done. We need to know what is here. The outside things are really a reflection of inner blocks. So I'm going to call myself out right now. For the whole pandemic, I've been eating in a new way, and it's been really, really, really foundationally fantastic for my body. I don't get the energy dips anymore. And then about 2 weeks ago, my launch for this program got me really stressed out. It revealed new places of distortion and illusion and blocks in me. And I reverted back to eating a lot of sugar. And I've just been like on that. So I'm calling myself out and seeing it as it is. Because when I see it as it is, and I feel it as it is, I am actually forced to realize this might require a change from me. If we keep moving forward in our life and be like, no, that doesn't really matter, and that doesn't really matter, and I just want to do this thing, you are building on shadowy foundations. No, we need to really see the 360 degrees. Okay, so do this. And then the fourth one is really important too, because we don't want to like go into the scenario too, where we're like all focused on our inner stuff. I want you to connect to beyond the physically visible universe and connect to what inspires you, what opens you up, what calls you, which animals have messages for you, which card in the tarot deck keeps coming up, which spirit guides are really present for you right now, etc., etc., etc. Which gods and goddesses keep appearing for you? Open your eye to the beyond. And that's it. That is it. So this is our work for this week. Can't wait to hear how it goes.